Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Alright, today I got some really cool covers to consider in a CGC 9.8. And certainly these ones are pretty great buys in a raw copy as well. These are not key issues, so if you're a little budget constrained, you might want to go kind of the raw copy route. Okay, but first one up here is an Uncanny XMen 239. This for me is definitely like the classic Mr. Sinister cover. One of the knocks on Uncanny XMen 221 that I have is probably not the coolest cover to look at. It's a decent cover. You kind of got, like Havoc sort of owning Wolverine on a 221. But certainly for me, Uncanny XMen 239 is the Mr. Sinister cover to get. And the price is really trending well on this one. I was really surprised to see a few sell. This was one a year or two ago I kind of highlighted on a few videos as a pretty awesome one, sort of adding on to first appearance of Mr. Sinister, the 221, Uncanny XMen 221. This was a pretty cool one to consider if you're a big Mr. Sinister fan. Trending up well in price, though. Great eye appeal on this cover. I got like 2 or 3 in the raw copy. Yeah, this is one of my favorites if I'm just looking through like the Uncanny XMen bins and you see this one for $4 or $5 in a decent shape. I've purchased a few of them. I think it's a great buy. And usually, you can find this one for really cheap in the raw. There's 99 CGC 9.8s in the blue label. So one of 99 in the universal blue label. These are certainly under the radar. They're not your obvious keys, so you're not going to have a ton of them in the 9.8. It's not like this one's so rare or anything. It's just not a key issue. That's why there's only 99 in the 9.8 blue label. 36% is the 9.8 percentage. So mentioning those prices, really surprised. One had sold, I saw, for $359, and another one sold for $400. Yeah, US dollars, all the prices. So really, this is one, when I was sort of highlighting it back, it was probably a year or two ago, in the CGC 9.8, you can maybe get it for under 100 if you were really lucky. Probably like 125 to 150 was more reasonable and likely. Now, 359 to 400. If you're a Mr. Sinister fan, this one is definitely wantable, though. So hopefully you can get it closer to 300 in a 9.8. And certainly I've found some raw copies out there for like $5. So keep your eye out for an Uncanny XMen 239 if you're a Mr. Sinister fan. Okay, next one is an Avengers number 151. This is one I almost picked up recently, and I was kind of hitting myself for not maybe being a little more aggressive on the auction. One popped up in Canada in a CGC 9.8. I'll probably use the picture too. It was looking pretty awesome. This one, Avengers 151 in a 9.8. I don't think I've really saw any until this one popped up about a month or two ago. There's 22 9.8s in the blue label, so one of 22. 12.6% is the 9.8 percentage. This one getting into the 1970s, so just a really cool old one. Of note too, it's a Jack Kirby cover art, so you just get like Iron Man and Thor and Captain America, like kind of the big three on the cover in Kirby art is almost unbeatable, I think. So that one in Canada that popped up on an auction, I was really watching it, and I actually didn't bid on it. I was really thinking about it very hard, but ended up going for 240 US dollars, which ended up being 301 Canadian dollars or something like that. Oh, kitty, don't go down the hole. No, no, no. Come on, stay up. Yeah, Avengers 151. I think if another one kind of pops up on a stealthy auction again, I'm going to be really tempted to try to go after this one. But such a great one. I think whoever purchased that for $240 is just getting a fantastic collector item, a one of 22. And yeah, look out for this one in the raw. I'm sure you can get it for a really good price. Just a great eye appeal on this Avengers 151. Okay, next one's a Swamp Thing 52. Yeah, as a Batman fan, I found myself really kind of wanting this one. And actually, I was watching one in a 9.8, and it had just recently sold. Yeah, I think it was like yesterday or the day before. One sold in a CGC 9.8, the one that I was watching for $129.99. So there's 17 of these in the 9.8. And yeah, really just eye-appealing cover with Swamp Thing. And he's sort of shrouding kind of Arkham Asylum. And if you look really close, you can kind of see Joker and Two-Face, and I think it's Scarecrow in there, sort of in the Arkham Asylum jail. So just a really great cover. As a Batman fan, I like these kind of cool Swamp Thing covers of this era too, the Alan Moore era Swamp Thing. A one of 17, like this would just be a really great collector item. And that one had sold. I'm kind of hit myself on these last few here for not maybe being a little more aggressive and getting in there, because I'd like to have these. 34.7% is the 9.8 percentage on a Swamp Thing 52. And mention that one in the 9.8 selling for $129.99. Maybe if you're just so patient on this one, in a 9.8 you get it, you know, around 100 or maybe even under 100 on a stealthy auction, but there's only 17 of them, so good luck, you know, one of those popping up in a 9.8 anytime soon. But Swamp Thing 52 is just a great one. Okay, next one, kind of a 2-for-1 here with some awesome Jim Lee covers. I really like Superman 205 from the Jim Lee run in kind of the mid-thousands of Superman. He just nailed it. Superman and Batman. Jim Lee had 2 runs in the kind of the mid-thousands and just absolutely killed it. Superman 205 is probably my coolest cover, I would say, out of that whole Jim Lee Superman run. 204 is sort of the classic Jim Lee pose cover, so you might want to consider that one. Superman 205, where he's kind of grabbing the missiles coming at him with the red eyes. I really like this one. This one's going to be tough to find in a 9.8, although I was kind of surprised that there were quite a few of them. 237 9.8s in a blue label, although there's 2 covers for this one, and I don't think they separate them. One's a Michael Turner cover, one's a Jim Lee cover. I see the Michael Turner cover way more, and I just think like the Jim Lee cover is probably a lot more wanted. There's 237 of both of them, though. Hard to know like how much is the Jim Lee cover, how much is the Michael Turner cover. 70.3% is the 9.8 ratio. And I think for 205, I wasn't really seeing any recent sales on this one. I did see this Signature Series one sell for quite a while, the one I'm kind of using the picture for. But I think in the blue label, they'll sell for about $100. In the Signature Series, sort of $150 to $200 for a Superman 205. So a 2-for-1 here. Think about another really cool Jim Lee cover. Astonishing X-Men #1, the Jim Lee remastered X-Men cover. This one just has an awesome eye appeal and gives you all those kind of early 90s Jim Lee vibes, but, you know, a sort of modern comic book. This one's really popular among Jim Lee fans. Astonishing X-Men #1, the Jim Lee remastered variant. So in a Signature Series, I saw one of these sell recently for $525 in an auction. I think that's a really good price for a signed copy of this Astonishing X-Men #1. I think the blue label is going to be right around $400. I think that's a decent price if you're looking for an Astonishing X-Men #1. But yeah, both of these Jim Lee covers are just such awesome eye appeal, and I know myself, I've wanted them, you know, off and on, certainly over the past few years, collecting these 9.8s. Okay, next one's an Absolute Carnage #1. I want to talk about the Bagley variant cover. This is that hidden gem Bagley variant cover, though, for Absolute Carnage #1. This cover was going to originally be the cover for the first appearance of Carnage. So I think that's really cool. They kind of brought it back. I really like this cover, too. Apparently Marvel didn't like it, and they brought in Randy Emberlin with Bagley to do the cover we all know on Amazing Spider-Man 361, but this one they didn't really like. I really like this cover, though. Definitely getting all those awesome Mark Bagley, like early 1990s vibes out of this one. And I think this one's kind of trending pretty decently, too. I think, you know, I certainly feel like I want this one, this being the original Carnage cover. I think it's a really good idea. They made this cover on a Absolute Carnage #1 when they came out. There's 110 9.8s in a blue label. I think there's about 40 Signature Series or something like that for this one, too. 86.6%, the 9.8 ratio. I think in a blue label, 150 to 175 is kind of a fair price. I know initially when I started watching this one, when it first came out, I thought it was a great, you know, kind of under the radar brand new comic to think about in 9.8, and it was right around $100. Kind of trending up nicely. Yeah, most sell I think for 150 to 175. Signature Series seeing sell for kind of 225 to 250. Bagley signed. Quite a few of those have sold in the last 6 months. It's almost harder to find the blue label, I think. Actually, if you're interested in this one, I'm watching one that's in Canada. Yeah, if I was a little more aggressive right now looking to buy it, I probably would have bought this one because I think it's like $225 or best offer, and that's Canadian dollars, so kind of $200, $190 or best offer in American dollars. Maybe you want to check that one out if you're thinking about this one. But yeah, Absolute Carnage #1. Just great to know that that's like the original Carnage cover. I think it's super collectible. Okay, and last one here, a couple Detective Comics. We'll start with Detective Comics 587. This is a really cool Batman cover that definitely just flies right under the radar. Even myself, being a big Batman fan, probably about like 3 or 4 months ago, I noticed like, wow, this is like probably one of the coolest Detective Comics Batman covers of the era. And it's like a complete non-key. You can get it for $4 or $5. I got 2 or 3 in the raw. This is one at my local comic shop. I always watch for this one in the back bins, in the Batman and Detective back bins. A few others here. For Detective Comics 587, though, there's only 15 9.8, so it's super under the radar. 36.6% is a 9.8 percentage, so maybe you want to go in the raw for 587. I think in a 9.8, if you can find one, right around $100 makes sense. In a stealthy auction, you could probably get it less than 100. I don't think anyone's really thinking about this one. So 587, one to consider. I've really liked Detective Comics 561 for quite a while too. Classic like Batman, Robin cover with the bat signal in the background. I've always liked this one. Yeah, like 2 years ago, this one was around $100 in the 9.8, but most of them I see now sell for kind of $200 to $225. This is really becoming kind of a non-key Batman cover to collect. Another cool one is Detective Comics 566, which is the Rogues Gallery cover. You kind of just get all the villains on the cover. That's one I've sort of almost pulled the trigger on, off and on over the last few years. And also like this one, yeah, Detective Comics 571, one I was able to pick up. I got this one on like a stealthy auction probably about 2 years ago. I was really like loving the colors and the centering on it. I was just like, wow, if I can get this it ended up being like $81 in an auction or something like that. So it was more just an opportunistic one that I knew I could get at a great price, and the colors were just jumping off the page in classic Scarecrow cover. So Detective 571, this one is, if maybe you're kind of a villains guy and you're into a Scarecrow, you can check out that Scarecrow cover. Yeah, under $100 if you can swing that. I know mine was about 2 years ago, but you could probably get that under 100 still if you're kind of on top of your searches. There's not a lot of these though, so that's the kind of crux with these non-key cool covers. There's not a lot of 9.8s out there because they're not key issues, so. But still, from a collector perspective for me, they're just really wantable. So I have quite a few of these kind of non-key cool covers. And there's other bigger ones, like I could have mentioned, like Batman 423 or, even that Wolverine #8 we talked about recently. But just kind of wanted to go a little off the radar on this video, I guess. All right, team. Yeah, hopefully it's just some cool covers in the 9.8 to think about. Maybe you go after them in a raw copy for a little cheaper as well. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.